In this episode, I show you what it takes to replace an oil pan gasket in an early Fox body while leaving the engine in the engine bay. Welcome to Straight 6B. I'm Grant Tommy, helping you build your hot rod and your confidence without a ton of money. And today we are trying to undo, well, the wrongs from last weekend. So if you missed that episode, info card up over here. But if you haven't followed along, you may recall I dropped a 1/4-inch deep well socket into what I believe the oil pan of Project Ford Fairmont. And well, turns out that was exactly the case. Just to bring you up to speed, over the course of the past week, a friend of mine came over with a borescope and we did positively locate that in the oil pan. So today we're going to attempt to remove the oil pan while the motor is still in the car. But let me bring you along and show you what I accomplished yesterday, Saturday, as I record this on my normal Sunday. Yesterday, Saturday, I was able to get, as you can see, the oil pan disconnected from the engine block. And yes, I was able to fish my hand in there and get out the 1/4-inch socket. Now, it was not this clean yesterday. There was a good amount of sludge that my finger could touch in this front sump of the double hump, if you will, oil pan on this 302 Ford. But in order to get that far, I had to do it by, well, the old Chilton's manual. This may have been the best, I think it was like $4.30 some cents I spent on this project. Right out of the gate, I found one on eBay, but they have in here a process to how to remove the oil pan while the motor is still in the car. And so here's what you didn't see in that shot a second ago of what I did yesterday. First, it says to remove the oil dipstick, followed by the 2 cooler lines at the radiator if equipped, those being the transmission cooler lines. It then tells you to remove the fan shroud bolts and position the shroud over the fan. Of course, as you know, being in the middle of the head swap, that's already out of the way for me. Then raise the car, drain the oil. We did that earlier this week as well, so we could get the borescope in there. Then we get into some of the more heavy lifting. Step 5, remove the sway bar attaching bolts and allow it to hang down. Now for me, I let it dangle on the passenger side. Step 6 is to remove the steering gear to cross-member attaching bolts and allow the steering gear to rest on the frame away from the pan. I will say this was probably the most cumbersome part of the process, but you absolutely are going to need to do this. You gain so much clearance by doing it. I wouldn't be able to have given you that shot earlier with the steering rack still in the way. And well, from there, of course, it encourages you to disconnect the battery. Again, another thing that I've already done to date with the car as it is, and then of course it wants it up on jack stands very similarly. So one other part I recommend to take off before you get started is this K-brace. While I had it off, it was starting to wear through the paint, so I've got that extra spray-on bed liner that I use for the gas tank. Decided to recoat this piece before we throw it back in, so feel good about that. What we're after today, that shot I showed you before, yes, I've got enough clearance where I could snake a new gasket in on that oil pan. But what I don't currently have the luxury of is a clean shot at scraping off the old gasket material. And then just, blindly doing it from the engine block side, some might drop into the pan. And as I mentioned before, I could feel a lot of sludge. So today, the attempt is going to be to get to step number 8, remove the engine mount bolts, and then raise the motor enough to slide in 2x4. But since the headers are only in here for test fitting reasons, I'm going to go ahead and remove these to give myself more access to the motor mount bolts and hopefully make life easier on myself. Motor mount bolt 11/16. We are going to be using the bell housing of the transmission as our jack point. I did put a piece of foam in there just as an added piece of protection so we don't damage it. So on further review, it is not the same stud on the motor mount. Here it is pulled out, but what they want you to do according to Chilton's manual is have a 2x4's worth between the oil pan and the motor mount. So I'm going to put this back in, but just wanted to show you that. But yeah, I've got it jacked up quite a bit, and honestly, I don't know if the pan is going to come out. The oil pan pump right there is kind of the limiting factor, and the pan looks like it's going to want to come out the front if it can come out, because of how little room there is between the bell housing and the pan. But at the very least, if this is where I gotta stop, I've got much better access to scraping things off with, hopefully you can see the distance between the block and the pan. It's kind of hard to see, can't really get a good shot for you. There you go, maybe that helps explain it. Yeah, but it'll be a little harder for me to clean out the sludge out of the front hump of the oil pan, which I don't know how much you can see, but it's kind of nasty in there. So I don't know, we'll see what we can get out, but this might be as far as it goes. Well, as you can see, that sucked. Probably minimum an hour underneath there just scraping away with the razor blade the block side. Oh man, that sucked. But I guess it can be done. Thank goodness for Fast Orange, right? Because saving marriages since yeah, who knows? But yeah, I can at least clean up my hands to push record on the button on the camera. But yeah, this is just anyway. I got the block side cleaned off pretty good. I'm still got to hit it with probably a rag and some brake clean. Go over the ring side of the pan another time. I didn't necessarily address that yet. So as far as installing the oil pan gasket, that may come tomorrow. I ordered it through my local O'Reilly's, and it wasn't supposed to show up till 4:30, which it's like 4:30 right now. And it's not so much that I couldn't show up to O'Reilly's looking like this as much as what's on my backside, and we have a loaner vehicle right now as our only vehicle to get around. That's a different story for a different day. But yeah, I don't want to get greasy a 2020 Ford Escape. Ruin the seats before we take it back to them tomorrow. So I might just start cleaning up. It's my normal cleanup time. Scoop out the oil pan with my hands and just have everything ready to go for tomorrow. But yeah, how's that for some hair, huh? So yeah, kind of like yesterday, enough for one day, I think. So yep, I'll go just get everything ready for the gasket install tomorrow. But I guess proof it can be done. It just sucks. But the reason I did it this way was, well, one, I don't have an engine hoist. Could I rent one? Yeah. Could I borrow one? Yeah. But kind of like the whole point of this channel is to do things from a level of skill, abilities, and you know, tool-wise, I don't have anywhere would a hoist fit in my garage. I'm kind of pushed on space, so I guess just kind of giving hope to people out there that you can do it without that. But yeah, we'll get that oil pan gasket on tomorrow. We'll start getting things put back together, and we'll be back in shape where we were a week ago before I dropped that socket in the oil pan. One last thing before I shut it down here on Sunday is, since I couldn't quite get in there with my hand too well to clean out the pan, I filled it up with kind of a concoction of brake cleaner and gasoline, put the drain plug in, let it sit for a while, and then drained it. So it cleaned up pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with the results. Now here we are, Monday evening, all cleaned up, ready to get dirty again, and oil pan gasket in hand from O'Reilly's. It is a one-piece unit, as you can probably see. And I have these handy little like centering pegs that actually are threaded on one end, threaded into the engine block, and they'll hold your gasket up where it needs to be in place while you install plates. Yeah, so I'm going to get on there one last time with the razor blade in case there's any other residue I just missed yesterday, so clean perspective probably helps with that. And wipe it down one more time with some brake cleaner. Probably hit, as I thought about it last night, the crankshaft still is a little sludgy, so maybe spray the crankshaft a little bit, brake cleaner, and call it good. Most alarming piece I found in the oil pan yesterday was this guy. I think I might even know where this goes, but yeah, this plastic something or another. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I'm glad I did what I did. And I'm also glad I took this opportunity to do a second sweep under the car. As you recall, I said these were the most difficult thing to pull off. These had to go at the front and the back of the oil pan. The old days, you know, there was this kind of rubber piece at the main seal, and then the sides were cork. Well, when I pulled the one off the back, as you can see, there's like a little tab, right, that goes up beyond this flat part. And on the block, same thing. It's all flat here, and then there's a notch to accept that. Well, on the rear main seal, the way it tore off, oh, there we go. That's the side. There was a chunk of rubber still wedged up in there, so I did my best with a screwdriver to get out what I could. I think what I'm gonna do is just hose it down. Hopefully the brake cleaner eats up some more of it. But I might just cut a little bit off of the new oil pan gasket and dab it with some RTV and wedge it up in there. But yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was had I not examined it a second time today. Now, laying the oil pan gasket out, this is the way it's going to go in the car. Passenger side has this little jog in it. This would be the side that I'd want to cut down, but looking at it, I think I'm going to leave it because the thickness of the rubber, it's thinner here. So I'm just going to make sure I dab these with a little RTV and get that in place. And yeah, I might be at the end of this. God bless you, Fel-Pro, for those pegs. Yes, thank goodness for those centering pegs. Oh man, I don't know how I would have done this by myself without those. Alright, from there, they recommend you tighten from the center to the center out on both sides. So we will just start a bolt. Hey, did I get that right? I think I did. Or two on the center, and we'll go from there. Alright, Alright, here we are, back together. Oh man. Not able to clean the oil pan as much as I'd like to have, but all things considered, it's done. And that's what I care about most. So we're gonna get the motor mounts back together and just kind of reverse our steps and, man, I guess just move on. Well, I'm not sure how much cleaner I am than yesterday, but I'm done, so it definitely feels better, even if I'm just as dirty. Oh man, I'm so glad to be done with that. But yeah, if you guys want to know how I got into this situation in the first place, go watch one of these two videos as we forge on with the GT40P head swap in upcoming episodes. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch everything. Otherwise, like or share the episode. Either way, that's going to do it for this go around. And until next time, peace out.